Well, okay. Question series. All right. Now, my video editor, Rand, thought it would be a nice change of pace to take them off of the public YouTube, these questions, okay? And I will get to the ones that you guys posted on the forum. I will get to them next week, all right? But these are very interesting. It is a myth, or do jazz guitarists like to smoke cannabis? I love your videos. Don't understand anything about jazz, but I enjoy watching. Well, I guess that would depend on the guitarist or the person. I don't smoke it anymore. I used to when I was younger. So I guess that's a myth. I mean, I would say it's a myth, okay. Do you still play 7-string guitar? No, not anymore. I sold my 7 strings. Could you show us your guitars on one video? Thanks, I love your videos. That's a good idea. I may do that just for YouTube. I've done it for the site before, but we'll see if I can't get that up on YouTube. I don't have very many anymore, maybe 5 or 6. You can only play one at a time, and I don't like to switch guitars a lot. They're all a little bit different, I always keep coming back to this Benedetto and my Cummins for a solid body, Have you ever used an F-hole plug? Seems like a new fad. Also, is there any value to a sound port on the side upper bout? This also seems like a fad. I don't use F-hole plugs, never did. I don't have a problem with feedback. My amp is usually about here. The thing about feedback is sometimes it's another instrument. It could be a bass, a bass drum, a drum that starts the top vibrating. But I never had that problem. So, and as far as the sound hole on the upper side bout, it's a nice design. I don't know if it's better or worse. I really don't have any feelings about that. Not really. Okay, some of these are funny. How come you don't listen to guitar players? I've heard it all before. I find horn players and piano players a lot more musically interesting. Not that I don't find some guitarists interesting, but I just gravitate towards that, as I got older. In the beginning it was all guitar players, and that's basically the reason. It's just a personal choice. Do you do home recording while getting a tune together? I record myself while hashing out a new tune. I love that second Hot Licks videos. It lays an entire lifetime of work out in a concise approach. Well, I'm glad you like the Hot Licks video. No, I don't record myself when I get to putting a new tune together. It doesn't take me long. I've been doing it for, more than 40 years. But it's not a bad idea. If it helps you, it's a good idea. You mentioned that when you see a chord, you don't think of it as a shape, but as individual notes. Do you use a shortcut to visualize flat and sharp notes? Do you mentally say F? Do you mentally say flat B, or do you use some fedge and call it a T flat? No solfeggio. And I don't think of a shape. I know the names of each chord. What you should do is do this. You want to learn a fingerboard? Play any chord and be able to name the notes A, G, C, E, and know what they are. Root, flat 7, third, fifth. Any chord you can do it to. So, no, it's not a shape to me. Because, see, this is all A minor 7th to me. So it's more pianistic approach. Where am I? Thanks a million for these questions and answer video sessions. It's great to hear a true musician, professional, talking honestly and candidly about his life and craft. My question is about reading on guitar. I started on piano as a kid, then picked up the cornet in grade school, also playing electric bass. When I left school, I focused all my attention on guitar. I can figure out any sheet music and learn real book tunes from reading, but I've always struggled to sight read off the cuff. It's been a blow, really, causes it beats up your confidence since you want to work with other jazz musicians. No matter how much practice I put in, I never seem to get past mediocre. Yeah, I heard similar stories about this, but don't beat yourself up. What you need to do, and thank you for your compliments too. What you need to do is, if you take a violin study, like Wolfhard, all right? Want to learn how to sight read? You take a Wolfhard violin studies. Learn the piece, they're short. And then play it again after you have it down. And then start by looking ahead a bar. First maybe half a bar, then a bar, okay? And then you can do it with a real book tune, all right? And the hardest thing is, knowing where to play it. But, you try different positions, and you'll see the same type of phrases or similar phrases, and you'll know where to play it. It's a long process, and there's lots of stories like that. It's just got to keep doing it. I've been playing just about 50 years. I have good time in ears. Of course, these can always be improved. I even understand what I'm doing, but I can't read music. I can't read music, can you help? I can play. I'm fluid, but my brain gets bogged down, and I'm no spring chicken. You want to learn how to read music? This sounds dumb, but it's really best way. Start at the beginning. Get Mel Bay Book 1. It's a blue book. Start with that, and it's broken down so simple. Mel Bay was a genius when he wrote that book, and that's the best way to do it. Do you ever wish you had taken a high-profile lead guitar gig during rock's heyday? No. No, not really. I was never interested in that type of music that much. I didn't really hear rock guitar until I was much older. And I found that I like some of it, but no, I never had that desire. What do you think is the best way to get into a standard? Go to the park and play some lines, play the arpeggios of each chord? What is the best way to free from the same phrases when one is starting to get stuck? Well, thank you, Benjamin. Hear a recording of it, of the standard, preferably by a singer. Start there. Learn the lyrics. Okay? Memorize the chords. And go from there. That's what I think is the best. And as far as lines, just listening will fix that. You can, playing the arpeggios of each chord is good. That's always a good idea. Hi, Jimmy. What do you think about symmetrical fourth tuning? Now, more players are changing to this tuning due to the less amount of shapes it generates compared to the standard. I never was a fan of that. I have a hard enough time, getting this tuning. I know some guys like it, but I find that it makes chords very, very awkward. So I'm not a fan. This may be a silly question, but where can I get a chair like that, Jimmy? Just the perfect chair. Well, this is not my chair. I'm at my video editor's house, and this is his chair. Where can he get a chair like that, Rand?
My mother.
You got to call Rand's mother. But it is a good chair. It is a good chair. Jimmy, when you say you practice 6 hours a day, what did that consist of? Just playing tunes, scales, arpeggios? Or just everything for 6 hours? Well, it's actually, I practiced like 8 hours a day when I was a kid. I did reading studies, violin studies, scales, not modes, but scales, and arpeggios, chord voicings. There's so many chord families, meaning, string groupings. I had plenty to practice, and I just did one exercise, each thing one at a time until I could play it. So you can easily fill up 8 hours. All right, thank you for these questions. They were fun. All right, so I'll get to the questions on the forum next week. All right? Okay. Thanks. I'm glad you guys are liking this, because I am too. All right, thanks a lot. Oh, one more. I have a question. I wish I had it in front of me, from a friend of mine, Art Johnson. I've known him for 25 years. Good guitar player, good friend. He asked me about my little stint with Hofner, trying to get a jazz guitar going with them. And it's a fine company, and they make very fine guitars and basses. I just couldn't get into this. Guitar didn't sustain the way I want. Now, I'm not talking about like rock sustain. Just, and it was a good guitar, but, I'm real picky about that, And so it didn't work out, but I got nothing negative to say about them. The other thing about guitar, and I stole this from Zagovia. Okay. There's your string orchestra. You see, it's not like the whole string orchestra is playing all the time. Guitar's a small orchestra. Now look, I can soften everything like soft brass and woodwinds by playing over top of the neck. My pick guard is vibrating. You hear that as opposed to this? Big difference. Okay, now brass. That's why I don't use pedals. I have the whole orchestra here. I don't want to listen to violins with a fuzz tone. All right, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, thanks for your questions, and keep them coming. I'll try and stay on top of it. Thanks a lot. Happy holidays.